Hey guys, today I'll be talking a bit about how to study for the AP Bio exam. First, know the exam time and the exam format. This year's exam will be on May 18th, and the time of the exam will depend on where you live. So please check the College Board website, or I've also included the times here. The exam will consist of 2 free response questions, one 25-minute question about experimental design, and a 15-minute FRQ about conceptual analysis. This table right here and the exam format is talked about in detail at the beginning of every AP Bio live stream on the AP YouTube channel. I'll have it linked down below. Now onto content review. First off, AP Bio is a very dense, content-heavy course, so I suggest you start reviewing now if you haven't already. These are the units that will be covered on the exam. Unit 7 and Unit 8, which are on evolutionary biology and animal structure and ecology, have been omitted since they were not taught by schools before school was let out. I'm using the Princeton Reviews prep book to review content and supplementing it by reviewing class notes and watching Crash Course and Bozeman science videos. Rather than going in order from Units 1 to Unit 6, start with the unit that you're most nervous about. For example, I'm starting with cell communication and macromolecules because it's one of the first units we learned, therefore I probably forgot most of it. If you're taking notes or from a prep book or a textbook like I am, make sure you're not just passively reading through it, but instead highlighting and annotating and making notes. Especially for AP Bio, I find it really useful to draw out my own diagrams so I know what's going on. Another useful trick to know while annotating is to define complex terms with simple words and phrases. For example, we can take the 3 different types of endocytosis, pinocytosis, phagocytosis, and receptor-mediated endocytosis, and define them with 1 word each. When reviewing for bio, don't forget about the labs. Although AP Bio is not as lab-focused as something like AP Chemistry, there are still important experimental design concepts and labs that you need to know. This is especially relevant for this year's exam, since we know one of the free response questions is going to be on experimental design. After you finish reviewing each chapter or each unit, it's important to do some practice questions in order to make sure you have retained the material you just reviewed. I do this by working through the questions at the end of each chapter and also doing Quizlets. Lastly, and possibly the most important part, is to do practice FRQ questions, especially those that have been released on previous exams. Not only does this also force your brain to actively recall learned information, but it's also really important to get used to the free response format. I feel like this is especially true for AP Bio because answering the free response questions is not just about knowing definitions. Some questions are also extremely lengthy and detailed, so it's good to practice skimming through long passages and answering questions under a time limit. You can find official past FRQs on the College Board website or just through a simple Google search. It's important to time yourself while practicing these FRQs, so it's more realistic and you can have a sense of how much time you're taking answering your questions. If you find yourself running out of time frequently, try to find ways to read the question faster or answer it more concisely. Make sure to check your answers with the official responses in your prep book and also the official scoring guidelines of the College Board. The second is probably the more important one because they're the ones that are actually going to be grading your actual test though. After you check with the scoring guidelines, make sure to write down important points and things you missed on your paper so you know what you can improve on next time. If you want, you can also score your paper like as if it was an actual FRQ. That's basically my routine for studying for bio, but here are some extra tips. Don't get caught up in small details like memorizing the structure of every single molecule in each step of the Calvin cycle. Instead, know things like what goes into the Calvin cycle, what is produced, and what is the purpose of it. What would happen if the Calvin cycle was not functioning or there was some mutation involved? Also, your study method does not have to be the same as those around you. For one person, reading the textbook and annotating may work, but for other people, watching live lectures and videos is a much better way to review content. Find out what works for you. All the resources I've mentioned in this video will be linked in the description along with some other ones that I find. And with that, happy studying, and I'll see you guys in the next video.